How do you do? It's time for the Rainbow Review. I'm Velma Iris Allen.
And I'm Ellie LaFay.
And we're here to bring you the news from the world of the LGBTQ. Our first story is about Krista Leigh Steele Nudsling, the founder of the Miss Transamerica pageant, was found dead at her home in North Adams, Massachusetts on January 5th. Her husband, Mark, has been charged with her murder. The police told Mass Live that her husband said he'd snapped and done something very bad. He also said that he struck his wife with a hammer and stabbed her with a knife. During a Monday arraignment, the husband pleaded not guilty to the charge. He's set for pretrial hearing on February 7th. Krista was memorialized on social media by a number of prominent LGBTQ advocacy groups, including GLAAD and the Human Rights Campaign. Justin Adkins, a friend of Krista's, told the New York Post, quote, "Her thing was always that transgender women are beautiful and need a venue for trans women to be seen as beautiful," unquote. Adkins has also launched a GoFundMe campaign to help cover the cost of the funeral. So if you want to go help out that, go to the gofundme.com/Krista's funeral page. And now over to Ellie with her first story.
Thank you, Velma. Viki Gutierrez died after her apartment in Los Angeles caught fire on Wednesday morning while she and her dog were trapped inside. Los Angeles Fire Department officials have ruled the fire as suspicious. A neighbor reported she had been experiencing problem with other neighbors before her death. He said that someone had spray painted a slur on the door of her apartment because she was transgender. A vigil was held on January 12th at 7 p.m. in front of her apartment building. Her dog is reportedly still missing after the escape during the fire. Anyone with any information regarding Gutierrez's death is encouraged to contact the LAPD. Last month, another transgender woman died in a house fire in Michigan that officials are investigating as possibly suspicious. Velma?
In Texas, 4 men, Nigel Garrett, Anthony Shelton, Chandler Encalade, and Cameron Ajadwa, admitted to meeting at least one man on Grindr, entering his home, binding him with tape, then proceeding to assault, ridicule, and rob the victim. The Department of Justice has also linked the 4 to robberies in surrounding cities, Plano, Aubrey, and Frisco. The 21-year-old Garrett was sentenced to 15 years, while the other 3, 19-year-old Shelton, along with 20-year-olds Encalada and Ajadwa, still are awaiting trial.
Within 1 week, 4 black lesbians were murdered. The first one we'll talk about is Khalide Crow, a 36-year-old behavioral health caseworker and mother of a child who lived with her partner in Florida. On December 28th, police in West Palm Beach found Crow dead in her home. Her 11-year-old daughter, Kyra Inglet, was found outside the residence. Both had been shot. Kyra was not proclaimed dead until the following day when she died within the hospital. Robin Denson told the Palm Beach Post, "She was my girlfriend, and that was our home." Denson's son, 26-year-old Marlon Joseph, was named suspect in the killings. Cops tracked down Joseph on January 2nd and arrested him on 2 counts of first-degree murder. He's being held without bail. On the same day, December 28th, cops in upstate New York released the identities of 2 adults and 2 children found dead 2 days prior in a Troy apartment. Shanta Myers, 36, her partner Brandy Mells, 22, and the 2 children, 5-year-old Shancy Myers and 11-year-old Jeremiah Myers, had been dead for 5 days before their bodies were discovered, police said. And again, December 28th, the death count climbed. Cops in Washington, D.C., responded to reports of gunfire in Adrian Street that evening. Upon arrival at the scene, they found a car engulfed in flames. When they extinguished the car, they found the body of 23-year-old Catrice Lewis inside the trunk. Authorities said Lewis's slaying could be connected to 2 others that occurred earlier that day. Police are ordering a reward of up to $25,000 for any information that leads to conviction of a suspect. These reports are not uncommon, but it is uncommon to get statistics that revolve particularly around black lesbians. Yaka Bible, who worked 11 years with the Anti-Violence Project before she joined GLAAD, said it's difficult to track the total number of killings involving lesbian victims. It's challenging, she said. Police often miscategorize lesbians as friends or roommates, and those instances, their identities are obscured. Later, LGBT communities can't find the data because it's already been misrepresented in the beginning. These mistakes not only skew the numbers, but cause additional heartache for the victims and their families. Well,
thank you, Allie. Peter Abzanu was sentenced to death Thursday, January 11th, for shooting and killing a gay couple, Stephen Adams and Kevin Powell, and also stealing their money, their belongings, and their car. The defense argued that he found the bodies and didn't report it because he was working for the couple as an escort at the time. The state said there was no proof to back up the defense's argument. Abzanu said to the jury, quote, "I have no regrets in my life, and I am proud of the decisions I've made. No one really knows what happened that day. Everyone can speculate what ifs and maybes until they're blue in the face, which they'll never really know," unquote. During his sentencing, Abzanu showed no reactions. He then flipped off the victim's family before being led out of the courtroom. One of the sisters of the victims, Missy Badgett, said, quote, "After what happened in the courtroom just now, I'm happy that he's being put to the death penalty," unquote. Hopefully there's a happy story over there with you.
There is a happy story in here, eventually. But before that, I'm going to talk about 1 Million Moms. It's an organization that is furious at Scholastic for selling books about transgender kids. 1 Million Moms, as an advocacy group largely focused on condemning progressive ideology in the entertainment industry, on Wednesday aimed its sights at Scholastic. They took particular issue with one book, George, a chapter book intended for kids grades 3 to 7, written by queer activist and author Alex Gino. George tells the story of a transgender fourth grader. George, which was published by Scholastic in 2015, was praised by its critics for being profound and moving. But 1 Million Moms doesn't think the book is family-friendly material. According to the Human Rights Campaign, the American College of Patricians, a small, socially conservative organization that holds extreme views of LGBTQ, they claim that exposing children to homosexual or transgender is tantamount to child abuse. However, to contrast that, the American Academy of Pediatrics, which is comprised of over 66,000 pediatricians in the United States, has expressed support for transgender children and adults and condemns any stigmatization or marginalization of them. Studies show that people who identify as transgender and face rejection from their families are increased risk for depression and suicide. 1 Million Moms, should be noted, is a division of the American Family Association, which Southern Poverty Law Center designated as an extremist group for its anti-queer ideology. Bella?
The main character, Lou Mazzucchelli, in the yet-to-premiere NBC musical theater series Rise, will be portrayed as a straight man, though the man who inspired the character is gay. The series is based on Michael Sokolov's 2014 book, Drama High, the incredible true story of a brilliant teacher, a struggling town, and the magic of theater. The story of Lou Volpe was the drama... The story is about Lou Volpe, who was the drama director at Harry S. Truman High School in Levittown, Pennsylvania. Executive producer Jason Katims said, quote, "I hope and believe that we carry a lot of Volpe's spirit into the show. We took that as inspiration," unquote. Also adding, quote, "I felt like I needed to make it my own story," unquote. Katims stressed Tuesday that Rise will explore LGBTQ themes with some of its other characters. One student, played by Ellie DeSatels, identifies as transgender, while another, played by Ted Sutherland, is being raised in a conservative religious household while coming to terms with his sexuality. Katims, along with executive producers Jeffrey Seller and Flottie Suarez, released the following statement to Entertainment Weekly, January 13th, regarding the controversy. Quote, "The misinterpretation of some of what we've done with this show goes against what we fundamentally believe and who we are as individuals. We are firmly committed to LGBTQ inclusion, and most of all, we are excited for the community to see Rise, which we believe portrays positive depictions of LGBTQ characters and stories on broadcast television with honesty and sensitivity. To that end, we worked with GLAAD on the show's LGBTQ storylines to ensure they are told with respect and authenticity," unquote. And now, back to you, Ellie.
Thank you. The Missouri GOP legislature has introduced a bill which hopes to stop marriages that don't take place in a church. HB 1434 would nullify all marriages in the public arenas. Sponsors of the bill say the change in definition would work to protect churches and businesses from gay encroachment. If the bill were to pass, it would mean that both gay and straight married couples would have to redefine themselves as domestically unionized. The Supreme Court ruled earlier that Mississippi could keep an anti-LGBT law in its legislature. The Republican-dominated state recently passed HB 1523, a broad law which grants Mississippians the ability to exercise so-called religious exemptions to legally deny LGBTQ people employment, housing, adoption rights, marriage licenses, and even services at local businesses. The law was signed by the state's governor, Phil Bryant. Missouri still has the unconstitutional law in its state legislature, which defines marriage as a union between a man and a woman.
New Hampshire's House of Representatives failed to pass a bill banning gay conversion therapy Tuesday, January 9th. The vote went primarily along party lines, with Republicans voting against the bill and Democrats voting for the law. Republican Representative Mike Pearson called the bill, quote, "unnecessary at best and quite possibly harmful to youngsters that want an honest conversation," unquote. The American Psychological Association, American Medical Association, along with several other medical associations, oppose conversion therapy, saying that there is no reliable evidence to support the practice. New Hampshire Democrats said in a statement, quote, "In upholding conversion therapy, New Hampshire Republicans are telling children that who they are is not good enough," unquote. 9 states, Washington, D.C., and over 24 municipalities have banned conversion therapy at this time. Ellie, I hope we're on good news now.
Yes.
Yay.
Yay. And also that at the end of that, there was some good news.
There is good news.
All states are already starting to ban conversion therapy, which is a good start. School district settles landmark trans rights case with former student. On July 2016, Ashton Whitaker, a 16-year-old transgender student, sued the school district after the district would not let him use the boys' restroom and continued to call him by his female name. The lawsuit alleged that they had also required him and other transgender students to wear green wristbands so that faculty and staff could identify them from a distance and redirect them towards the appropriate bathroom. However, the court's ruling did come only a few days before he was about to graduate in 2017. Also, the ruling only applies to Whitaker and not the entire student body or any other trans students. The district will pay out $800,000 in settlement fees. Whitaker will receive $150,000, while the rest will go to attorney's costs. It will also allow him to use the men's restroom if he ever returns to campus as an alumni.
The Inter-American Court of Human Rights, a Latin American human rights court, said the countries in the region should legalize same-sex unions despite opposition from the Roman Catholic Church. The decision came in response to a petition submitted 2 years ago by Costa Rican President Luis Guillermo Solis, who had vowed to increase rights for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in the majority Catholic country. A number of Latin American countries, including Costa Rica, do not allow same-sex marriage. However, in recent years, same-sex couples have been allowed to marry in Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Uruguay, and some parts of Mexico, despite church opposition. The Inter-American Court said the countries that it oversees should treat same-sex couples, quote, without discrimination, unquote, ensuring that they receive the same family and financial rights as heterosexual couples. It also recommended that these rights be ensured through temporary decrees while governments pursue permanent laws. Costa Rica's government celebrated the decision, saying that lawmakers would take steps to adopt the court's criteria in its totality. So, progress.
Slow, but it is increasing. So here's one for a good story.
Yes.
Prince Manvendra Singh Gaul, India's only openly gay prince, says he'll offer rooms, a medical facility, and job assistance to people of the queer community. After coming out, Gaul set up the Lakshya Trust, a charity for LGBT people in his conservative home state, and became a champion for gay rights. And now, at 52 years old, the prince is building a center for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people on the grounds of his ancestral palace. Gaul said he is renovating and extending his palace, built in 1927, on his 15-acre site, installing solar panels for power and leaving some space for organic farming. Gaul has said, people still face a lot of pressure from their families when they come out, being forced to marry or thrown out of their homes. They often have nowhere to go and no means to support themselves. So in India, things are looking up.
Yeah.
Do you have a good story, Velma?
I do. I have one last good story. Florida will be offering free pre-exposure prophylaxis, also known as PrEP, to all residents by the end of 2018. The program started last year, where 16 out of 67 counties are currently on board. The drug, sold under the name Truvada, is almost 100% effective at preventing HIV infection if taken properly. The drug is available at local health department offices and various medical centers around the state. The Florida Department of Health has an interactive map on their website that shows you where locals can access the medication in their area. Florida residents will need to fill out a form to receive the medication. Similar programs are available nationwide to help pay the cost of the drug. And that is my last wonderful story. Do you have anything else?
I have one more story to share.
One more.
One of Europe's most senior judges has ruled that the definition of marriage does include members of the same sex. It comes after a married couple, Adrian Komen and Clay Hamilton, took the European Union to court in a rare Grand Chamber case. They called for the relationship to be recognized regardless of borders. Currently, 22 of the 28 European state unions already offer civil partnership for same-sex marriage couples, but the impact of this decision will change the right to same-sex spouses in countries who did not already give same-sex couples this right. So they're having a unified, regardless of the borders within the EU, your marriage will be recognized.
Oh, that's pretty great, I think.
Ended on a good note.
Yeah, I think so. And thank you, everyone. Whether good or bad, that has been the news from this week in the LGBTQ. I'm Velma Iris Allen.
And I'm Ellie LaFay. Thank you.
Take care.
Ooh.